Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and I'm in San Francisco for Samsung's Unpacked event. It's the first one in person in a few years, so I'm excited to be here. I'm glad they're doing them in person again. Anyways, at Unpacked, they unveiled a group of different products, including the S23 lineup with the Galaxy S23, S23 Plus, and the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and I actually got some early hands-on with these devices, and I wanted to share my experience, my thoughts with you. Now I want to start, if you're interested at all in pre-ordering or buying any of these devices, I will post a link in the description, and if you use any of the links down below, you'll get an extra $50 credit just with those links down below. It's just a special link that they shared with me. Now in this video, I'm only going to be talking about the S23 and S23 Plus and the differences between the two later on today. Yes, today. So be sure to subscribe so you're notified when it goes live. I'll be unboxing the S23 Ultra. I'll have the packaging, all the good stuff later on today. So stay tuned for that video. All right, let's get into it. The S23 and the S23 Plus. First of all, pre-orders start today, February 1st, and they go on sale February 17th. Now, $799 for the S23 and $999 for the S23 Plus. So first difference is the price. Now both devices come with 8 gigs of RAM. However, the S23, you have the option of 128 and 256 gigs of storage, whereas the S23 Plus comes in 256 or 512 gigs of storage. Looking at the 4 color options, you have Phantom Black, Cream, Lavender, and Green. And taking a look at the design of these two phones, obviously there's a size difference, and looking at the back, they went with a floating camera design, which aligns it more with the Ultra lineup, so the camera system looks very similar. Down at the bottom, you have your SIM card slot, microphone, USB Type-C port for charging one of your speakers. Along the right side, you've got your power button and volume rockers. Make note, flat display, plus check out the camera bump. It's very minimal, honestly. There's not a lot going on with the camera bump with that floating camera design. And here's a look at the left side. Worth noting, these are IP68 rated, armor aluminum surrounded, and the displays are Gorilla Glass Victus 2 covered. So very sturdy devices. Again, size difference, 6.1 versus 6.6 inch displays, Full HD plus, dynamic AMOLED. These are flat displays, which again, the Ultra has a curved display, but wait for the unboxing video. Trust me, there's a difference in the S22 Ultra and the S23 Ultra, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, both of these displays, like I said, dynamic AMOLED, so up to 120 hertz. It can crank all the way down to 48 hertz. So 48 to 120 hertz, depending on what type of content is shown to save battery life. And as usual, Samsung does a great job with their displays. Honestly, their AMOLEDs are hard to beat. And like I mentioned, the new floating camera design on the back, you've got a triple camera design. Every camera on this phone has a new sensor, which is great to see. You get 4 times more dynamic color range. You have a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, and a 10 megapixel telephoto lens. And again, all of these have new sensors, so excited to try out this triple camera setup. As a quick test of that telephoto lens, taking a picture of the one and only Mr. Mobile, just snapping some shots as he's in action. So he's moving while I'm taking these pictures. Pretty impressed with how they turned out. And also, when it comes to shooting video on these devices, you can shoot all the way up to 8K 30 frames a second now. So not just 24 frames like previous devices. You can shoot 30 frames a second on either the S23 or S23 Plus. Absolutely worth mentioning, with the front-facing camera, 12 megapixels, but since it has a new sensor, you can now take advantage of Pro Mode. So you can customize the ISO, the white balance, all the good stuff, the aperture, whatever you'd like to, and really get the shot you want. In terms of performance, all 3 devices, S23, S23 Plus, and the Ultra, come with the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, but it's for Galaxy. So what they've done is they've clocked it just a little bit higher than the standard 8 Gen 2. So it's a better, faster processor in a sense for all 3 of these devices. So they all have the same chipset. On top of that, they all have the Samsung Galaxy Vapor Cooling Chamber, so to control those temperatures while you're doing some hardcore gaming. Next, I'd like to show off a new feature coming to these phones, and it's with Bixby, actually. So they've made advancements to Bixby. This is actually Bixby Text Call. So essentially what happens is when you get a phone call, you can have it Bixby answer the call for you and talk to whoever's on the other line. And then what you can do is text. So basically you type something, it gives you some pre-recorded responses, and once you hit send, Bixby will read out what you typed out to the other person. Now this is kind of a rough demo. I apologize for the audio.
Using Bixby text call to convert your voice into text and respond to you. If you want to continue, say who you are and why you're calling. This is really cool.
And then when I talk into the other phone, it will actually show up via text. So it transcribes what the other person is saying.
Awesome. Could you repeat that, please? I can't talk right now. I'll call you back later.
So again, sorry for the rough demo. Hopefully it gives you an idea of what features it has, but I do want to say it's crazy how fast Bixby responds to the other person on the other line. You could hear it happening. As soon as I hit send, Bixby starts talking and is very accurate in reading what I had texted. On top of Android, you get Samsung's One UI 5.1 update. It does have some new widgets, smart suggestions being one of them. It learns by the apps and different things that you do. However, you can also stack widgets within One UI 5.1. So you can actually add a widget. It'll show you ones that are compatible. If we go to weather widgets, select that. Nice little weather animation, but then you can swipe through them so they stack on top of each other, only take up one spot. Another interesting difference between the two, first of all, when it comes to battery life, size difference, obviously different size phones, different size batteries. S23 3900 milliamp hour battery, S23 Plus 4700 milliamp hour battery, and historically the Plus model has always had longer battery life. I expect that to be the same with these models. Now that's not the only difference. When it comes to charging, the S23 charges up to 25 watts in terms of speed, and the S23 Plus charges up to 45 watts in terms of speed, which is the same speed the S23 Ultra charges. So the Plus and Ultra charge at 45 watts, the S23 only 25 watts, so you get slower charging and a smaller battery. Anyways, that's it for me on the S23 and S23 Plus. I hope you enjoyed the video. A lot more coming soon, so be sure to subscribe. Like I said, S23 Ultra video coming in probably a few hours from when you're watching this. So stay tuned for that. Keep an eye out for that. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. As always, thanks for watching.